It's great to be back. Was gone for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Hit Ireland, hit Scotland.
Yeah.
Had a wee bit of whiskey, as they'd say over there.
I'm sure they say it just like that.
Stuff is gross, man. By the way, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
But they like to use that wee. Had
a wee bit.
A wee bit of whiskey.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, it's nice to be back, and especially on Mondays with Meghan. Meghan McCain joins us, the daughter of the late, great Senator John McCain. Hi, Meghan. How's it going?
Hi, how are you? Welcome back.
Do you like a wee bit of whiskey?
Don't get her started.
I actually don't drink anymore. I quit drinking when I had kids for no other reason other than, I cannot be hungover and take care of children. So,
Exactly.
I was going to say, I don't know how you're sober taking care of children. That's the flip side.
Oh, gosh. Well, I come back into the country, and then I see what happened in Colorado. Why don't we start there, Meghan? So let me get the scorecard out. Wasn't it a week ago a young couple was murdered? Yes. They were Jewish at a Jewish event in Washington, D.C.
Like on the sidewalk, right
Then
out front.
over the weekend, we've got a guy who's lighting Jews on fire in Boulder, Colorado. And I saw your Twitter, and I'm going to read it. Meghan, you said, it's open season on Jews in America, and most of you are enabling it or simply looking the other way. What do you mean by that?
Well, many things. But first, I just don't understand if there was a series of aggressive hate crimes against any other minority in the country, Hispanic people, Asian people, Black people, homosexuals, whatever, there would just be a lot more outrage and a lot more, I think, concern. And because so much of this is conflated, the man who threw the Molotov cocktails, by the way, on a Holocaust survivor and some children, screamed free, free Palestine before he did it, the same thing that was screamed at the two people before they were shot and murdered here in Washington, D.C. 2 weeks ago. And so much of that movement is conflated with radical people like that as just an abject hatred of Jewish people. It has nothing to do with Palestine or Israel. It has nothing to do with the war or Netanyahu. What it has to do with it's a really convenient excuse for the, just abject hatred of Jewish people. And I've been in this space a really long time, starting with, this is just like a little time machine for you guys. In around 2016, we had the leaders of the Women's March on The View as guests, and I started reading about the Women's March because it was never my thing for a whole host of issues. And when I was reading it, one of the leaders, Linda Salazar, had said a whole bunch of anti-Semitic statements and included the support of BDS in her statements about the women's movement. And I had a conversation with my producer, but I was like, what does BDS have to do with, and for people that don't know what that is, it means a boycott of anyone related to Israel in any capacity in corporate America or on college campuses. And I said, what does that have to do with women's anything? Then the leaders of the Women's March came on The View, and I asked them to denounce statements from people they were associated with, that called Jewish people termites, and they wouldn't do it. And it was a big thing in my career. It was a big thing that happened a long time ago at this point. But it was the first time that I got involved in this space because I was one of the few people that was recognizing it and calling it out in corporate media. And I've had done a lot of work in the combating anti-Semitism space for almost a decade now. And it's just horrifying. There's a 124% spike in hate crimes against Jewish people in the past year alone.
Wow. 124. So what do we do?
Sorry, you guys.
No.
So what do we do about it if it's getting worse? If there is a spike, as you said, how do we combat this then?
I think first and foremost, I think it's important just to have these conversations because there's a lot of news organizations. Even yesterday, I believe it was the New York Times, said we don't know a motive yet. Well, if someone's targeting Jewish people and lighting them on fire, I think I know what the motive is.
Narrowed it down.
The same way if someone was, targeting, African-American people and lighting them on fire, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know what the motivation is.
Fair.
And I think for me, my concern with this particular individual is he was on a visa that expired, and his daughter is actually still here in college. I'm sorry, but if you're going to commit domestic terrorism, you don't get to enjoy the spoils of the West with your children going to our colleges and enjoying living in this country in Boulder, Colorado at the same time. And this is when you guys know I'm pretty dovish on immigration, but when it comes to things like this, we have got to do a better job of policing the kind of people in this country. And I also think when it comes to the rising levels of anti-Semitism, I think that there's a lot of leaders in this country on by the way, the right and the left. This is a bipartisan issue. There's disgusting anti-Semites on the right and there's disgusting anti-Semites on the left. They need to be called out more aggressively. The problem is there's not a lot of societal consequences for being anti-Semitic. Whoopi Goldberg, my old co-host, did wildly anti-Semitic things that she was actually suspended for by ABC News, was easily let back on. If she had said that about any other kind of minority in the country, I don't believe she'd still have her job. There's a lot of people, a lot of politicians who say things like, if you cannot denounce the shooting and killing of two Jewish people shot and killed on American soil in Washington, D.C., which, by the way, the candidate for mayor, Zohan Mamandi, was incapable of doing, and he very well could become mayor of New York City, you should not be rewarded politically. And I don't fully know what the answer is, but I know that we need to make sure that just in your personal lives, you make sure that your Jewish friends and colleagues and people you associate with feel safe, and just call it out as much as possible. You guys have the #1 talk show in Arizona. You're doing a great job doing it.
We're certainly trying, Meghan, to say the least, but boy, that is really disappointing and difficult to watch some of the scenes coming out of Boulder. And sadly, I don't think it's the end. I sadly wish I could tell you I knew what was going to stop hate, for goodness sakes, but it appears to be happening around the world.
Positive lining to make you feel better.
Okay.
So I just interviewed Jonathan Greenblatt, who's the head of the Anti-Defamation League. He's an old friend of mine. And we were talking about just the insanity happening on college campuses and why all this extremism is happening everywhere. And he told me one of the bright spots in college culture is actually at ASU.
Really?
That Michael Crow, the president of Arizona State University, has done an incredible job combating this, making sure Jewish students feel safe at Arizona State University, and then he has taken the threats of anti-Semitic hate crimes extremely seriously, and it made me feel very proud to be an Arizonan, because I love hearing that about Arizona State.
Very positive.
I talked to several Jewish students over the last few years at ASU, and they were scared. For a while, they were very scared. And then recently, they're starting to feel better. So I think there's something to what you just said about Arizona State. Meghan McCain is joining us Mondays with Meghan.
Meghan, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, at least from the Washington, D.C., knee-deep in the swamp, as we like to think you are, what is the legacy of Doge, as Elon Musk politely saw himself out the door with a big gold key to God knows what? What?
Can I tell you, not to be disgusting, because I know this is a family show,
okay.
but anyone that read the recent New York Times piece that just came out last week talking about the alleged very serious drug problem that Elon Musk has.
Wow.
And I do not do drugs. I've never touched a drug in my life. It's just not my thing. And in the article, I did not know this, but apparently if you take enough ketamine, it impacts your bladder. And that has come out publicly that the amount of drugs that he was doing was actually impacting his bladder during his work. Again, this is not gossip. This was reported in the New York Times. You can listen to a daily episode about it this morning. And just the idea that I don't think Doge has been a success on any level for a multiplicity of reasons, but just the idea that we had someone who was actively doing drugs in and around the White House makes me really uncomfortable. And anyone who had anything to say about Hunter Biden, which was justified, why are you keeping your mouth shut now? Because it's just as egregious and gross.
Yeah. But consistency's not easy to.
Well, he said he wanted to cut $2 trillion, and I think he got to about $100 million.
Just missed it.
But I mean, I think at least to put a spotlight on the fact that we spend way too much money.
Agreed.
And there should be cuts, but you don't do it in 8 weeks. I think that's just a bad idea. Spread it out a little bit. Try and figure out really where you're going to cut, not just blind cuts and then hiring them back 24 hours later because, oops, we needed those people.
Costs a lot.
Yeah, so I don't think...
Yeah, and when you're cutting things like Ebola virus research and cancer research and USAID, which, my mother can tell you firsthand, brings literal food and, vaccines and things that people in third world countries need, Doge completely lost me because I'm all for cutting government spending in the right places, but they just went in with a chainsaw, which he used a literal chainsaw at CPAC last year and was just we're going to cut everything with no understanding of the ramifications. And in tech, there's like a slogan that like people in big tech running AI companies say. They're always like, move fast and break things, which I guess works in the tech world, but it doesn't work in real life in Washington, D.C. And I, for one, I'm really happy to see Elon Musk go. And if for no other reason than just like on a personal level, it's been extremely uncomfortable to hear the rumors and then see things come out about the kind of women he's been impregnating around my industry. Just happy to not be involved with this anymore, gentlemen.
Goodness gracious.
Meghan McCain joining us live from D.C. And Meghan, we're going to end on this. Does Trump believe that Joe Biden was executed in 2020?
Oh, my gosh.
And that a robotic clone was running the country for 4 years? Yes or no?
I don't know how anyone could possibly believe that, but I was doing my show earlier today, which you guys please come on at some point.
Yes.
And I was talking to my guest and I said, I'm just so tired. Like, it's so stupid and I'm so tired. There's very serious issues happening in the country, very serious questions this morning that came out about China's retaliation on our tariffs. And the idea that Biden is some kind of like clone in the Hall of Presidents in Disney World is like absurd and stupid, and I don't have time for it. And this is when MAGA really loses me, because I know we're all like kind of desensitized to this, but it's ridiculous and stupid and obnoxious. And President Biden has cancer. We've had many discussions on this show about his legacy. That's fine. History will judge it the way it will. But have a little bit of respect. He's very sick.
Yeah, Trump reposted a user's false claim that former President Biden had been executed in 2020 and replaced by a robotic clone, and Trump retweeted it or whatever you want to say.
I can't wait for Sean Hannity's book about how he knew Trump was mentally deficient the whole time and was covering it up. I can't wait for that. Meghan, we appreciate your time today. Thank you very much. Oh, and by the way, you and I have something in common.
Oh.
What?
We both think Fletch is the greatest movie of all time.
Oh, my gosh. It's one of my favorites. It turned 40, which made me feel very old.
I saw.
I was, gosh, it was one of my favorite movies of all time. Yes.
I'm right there
so
with
good.
you.
Chevy Chase forever. He everything he's ever done is like every movie he ever did, I love. I love Chevy Chase. I know he's supposed to not be like the nicest person, but
he's not. He's not. I met him. He's not.
I'll allow it.
Yeah.
He's not.
He's not. But
he has
I
a
still
terrible reputation.
Yeah, but I still love all of it. I agree. He couldn't.
If you read the
get me off
SNL book, it does not paint him in a positive light.
Fair point.
Whatever that's worth.
She's Meghan McCain.
Thanks, Meghan.
Every Monday, Meghan joins us at 5 o'clock. Mondays with Meghan. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, and welcome back, Gaydos.
Hey, thanks, Meghan. Talk to you Monday.
Talk to you guys later.
Thanks for watching Outspoken with Bruce and Gaydos. Tap to watch more from KTAR News and click the button in the middle to subscribe.